I guess let's get start.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Chalo. So till here it was story of slab. Now we have
Yes.
story of beam, RC beams. We have
Yes.
to in our project we have to design two sets of beams like from B1, B2, B3, B4, B5, B6. This set of beam, and also we have to
Yes.
design this set of beam A5, B5, C5 and D5. So like you are from B section, Ritesh, so is it same or I don't think like
Same. Same.
yeah,
Same.
yeah, I guess it's same. There might be small changes, but generally the explanation would be same for everything. So for me, for my roll number, I've got 4.2 as center to center distance,
Yes.
and have even got this as 4.2. So my these things are square. They have got aspect
Yes.
ratio Ly by Lx 1, and
Mm.
these things have got them as rectangles. This is Lx and this is Ly, and even as I told before, this is square, so I have considered this side as Lx and this side as Ly. Similarly,
Okay.
these bottom ones are also square. Okay. um, Chalo, let's go into this beam. Assumption of the first thing we need to do is assumption of depth and width.
Yes.
The story is quite similar. First, we have to find out LC. LC is clear distance.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm thinking this is a beam and 20 250 support. Okay, like
Yeah.
thinking like this. Clear distances, center to center, like um, uh, what
See,
what will
that 4200
yeah,
is center to center, right?
yeah, 4200 is center to center.
Mm.
4200 is center to center distance for
And
center to
minus half from this end and half from this beam.
yeah, yeah.
This column and this column.
Yes, yes. So, yeah. It is
Okay.
clearly center to center here. Like they have given us center to center. See here, center to center distances.
Mm.
Here we cannot see,
Yeah.
but yeah, it will be center to center distance. So 4200 minus 250 by 2 into 2. Like
Yeah.
I hope you got this. So
Yeah.
clear distance I got it as 3950 for me. For you people it will be changing. See, from here
Yeah.
till
Yeah.
here it is 4200 is center to center minus 250 by 2, 250 by 2. So I've got this distance, clear distance, as this.
Mm.
Okay, so the
Okay.
thing we have to do is LC by 12 we need to see. Simply, I have told this already for slab while explaining slab. I will again show you effective depth. Where is effective depth? Effective span, sorry, effective span. So, effective span, see, if there is a continuous beam
Mm.
and if support width is less than LC by 12, then L effective is same as simply supported. Like what we do for simply supported, we do the same thing for when this is the case, when support width is less than LC by 12. So we just check support width here. Our support width is
Okay.
250 and LC by 12 is
Mm.
this. Our support width is less than this, so it is satisfying this condition. So
Mm.
when after it satisfies this condition, our uh, we take L effective as minimum of LC plus D or B1 by 2 plus LC plus B2 by 2.
Okay.
Yeah, so we assume yeah, we assume that D is greater than B1 and B2 which both are same.
B.
So
See, B1, 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 B2 are same. Okay.
yeah, because support width is 250, we are assuming. So
Yeah, yeah.
so D is greater than those. So like assuming D is greater than those, we are proceeding with L effective as 3, like using this formula.
LC,
So
LC. Yeah.
yeah, so we got one L effective, we got 4200 as L effective, because all these beams are having same LC and same B1 B2. So every beam, all this B1 B2 B3 B4 B5 B6, like all these
Oh.
beams have got same L effective 4200.
Mm.
So now let us take overall depth. Overall depth D, like this is a kind of a thumb rule, like this is not some derived formula, or generally people do this.
Okay.
By doing this, we get our, like
Yes.
we get satisfactory results. So like it has been coming from many years. So
Years and years.
yeah, so we are just following this blindly. So L effective by 10, or 2 L effective by 12, anything like in between these two, anything you can assume
Okay. I can
as,
choose. I can choose between 10 and 12.
yeah, 10 and 12. L effective by 10 to L effective by
Okay.
12, anything is overall depth, gives you
Okay.
overall depth. So from here we got L effective, and from L effective, from there we get overall depth. Okay, I have taken 10, so I have got 420 mm as my overall depth. And then now we have got effective depth. Okay, effective depth is D, 420 minus 25 minus 8 minus 16 by 2, because 25 is my clear cover and 8
Okay.
is the stirrup, 8 mm dia stirrups I am
That-
taking, and
Yeah.
12 I am assuming 16 dia bars I am giving them as main reinforcement, so 16 by 2. So this becomes my effective depth, 390. I hope till
Mhm.
here it is clear.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so the next part is our assumption D is greater than 250. See, we have assumed D is greater than B, so our D is greater than 250. So our assumption is true.
Okay.
So L effective remains same. L effective calculated here, calculated here, it remains same. It doesn't
Mm.
change. And assuming width of the beam to be 250, to match with the
Okay.
width of the walls, because the end walls are 250 thick.
Mm.
So to match with that, like we have just taken width of the beam as 250. Generally, like it is a standard size, so we take width of the beam as 250, like uh, to match with the walls, people generally say, that's it. But our walls,
Okay.
we take the interior walls are of 125 thick.
Yes.
Interior walls are of 125 thick, and exterior walls are of 250 thick. We should have a note of this, that's it. So basically L effective is center to center distance, which is 4200, which they have given to us. So L effective is clear, like for these set of beams, L effective center to center distance for everything is center to center distance, and that is 4.2 meters. Okay,
Mm.
yeah, I hope
Yes.
here things are clear.
Okay.
Yeah, so L effective calculation is done, and we assume width of the beam to be 250, so we have B is 250. Okay,
Okay.
B is the symbol used for width of the beam, and like don't get confused, this is not width of the beam, these are
Yeah.
support widths.
Yeah.
Like by mistake
I understood.
by mistake have
Yeah.
written B here, but actually this is not width of the beam. So here we get width of the beam. So I should have written something else here probably, but
Column.
leave it,
You
like
mentioned column there.
what, yeah, column Yeah, it is support. It is support. Column, I don't
Support you
know.
can
Yeah,
say.
it is the width of the support. So like,
Oh.
don't get confused with that. So this B is width of the beam. From here, our things start.
Mm.
So basically, from all our assumptions, we have D as 420, and from 420
Mm.
we have got our effective depth as 379 from here,
Yes.
and then we assumed B as 250, and L effective,
Mm.
our L effective is 4200, center to center distance, which is 4200 millimeter. So till here, I guess things are very clear.
Yes.
Yeah. So now comes load calculation. Load calculation. Here there are four sets of loads I have written down very clearly: dead load coming from slab, live load coming from slab, self weight of the beam, and weight of the walls. So beams are supporting slabs. So basically beams will
Yes.
take the load of the slab and loads coming on the slab. Load of the slab is nothing but dead load of the slab. Loads coming on the slab is live load of the slab.
Like no.
Yeah, and slabs will have to take their own load, and they have to take live load. So that is the case. So dead load coming from slab. Now the first thing, beams take dead load coming from like our beam is this beam. So we have got upper
Mm.
grid of slabs and lower grid of slabs. So upper
Yes.
grid will be giving some dead load, lower grid will be giving some dead load. So like this will be giving some dead load, this will be giving some dead load, and it goes on like that. Okay.
Yes.
So where are we? Yeah. So dead load coming from upper grade and lower grade of the slabs will be acting on the beam, and the load from the slabs will be trapezoidal, and will be converted and we convert it to uniformly distributed for beams, and it is given by this formula. Okay, like I'll show you what really happens.
Yes.
This is my slab notes. So yeah,
Mm.
this is from code. I've just put the screenshot from code. So as you can see, this beam is there, right? Here,
Yes.
the beam on this longer side will be having this trapezoidal load.
Okay.
And this shorter beam will be having this triangular load from the slab.
Okay.
Yeah, and this trapezoidal load, when it is converted to a uniformly distributed load for the beam, when
Okay.
it is converted to UDL for the beam, that we get this formula. Derivation is there. Like, I don't want to, we need
Yes.
not know the derivation.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
So we basically convert this trapezoidal
Yeah,
loading
using
into
this
uniform loading. UT.
using this formula, like our beams
Okay.
our beams are along longer side, remember, our beams are
Yes.
along longer side. That is the reason why we are taking this formula. Okay, this
Okay.
formula is for beams which
Uh,
are along longer side. This formula converts
Okay.
trapezoidal load. This formula converts trapezoidal load into uniformly distributed load. So I hope you get it.
Yes.
Yeah, this
I got it.
formula converts this trapezoidal load into uniformly distributed load for the beam. So using this formula, um, uh, and we get the dead load of the slab on the beam. So WD is dead load of the slab factored, and dead load
Okay.
due to the slab and upper grade. Uh, so like we have from upper grade, dead load will be coming, from lower grade dead load will be coming, and these both will
Oh
be
yes.
different, because dead load is same for upper grid of slab and lower grid of like upper grid slabs and lower grid slabs have got same dead load, but acting on beam that will be different because they have got different lx and ly. So
Okay.
yeah,
I got it.
so we have, using this formula we get for upper grid this one and for lower grid this one. See, upper grid are these slabs, lower grid are
Yes.
these slabs, and this is our beam. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so using the formula we have got this, and live load coming from slab, similarly the formula is same, same trapezoidal it will be, and that will be converted to UDL using the same formula. Instead of WD we have got here WL. So, and WL is live load and it is factored. See,
Yes.
things are factored, we are multiplying with 1.5 here. So
Right.
yeah, so WL. So similarly, like this S1 is library which has got 6 as live load. Okay,
See,
and yeah, like we have taken 6.
that is factored, I think.
No,
6 is
no, 6
factored.
is not factored. 6 is like in the code, few things are mentioned like 6 or 6 plus something when height, like floor to floor distance. Like in IS 875 part 2, things are mentioned for library. I have taken to like 6 is not needed, but to be on safe side, have taken 6. So if our load
Okay.
will be less than 6 much, like it will be better only, like uh, so have designed it for 6. So 6
Okay.
is on this, and so 1.5 into 6 into the whole formula you have to do
Yes.
to get for this slab's load on this beam. And corridor has got 4 as live load, so 4 into 1.5 into that whole formula with its corresponding LYLX, you get this slab's
Yes.
load
Yes.
on this beam. Similarly, this slab's load on this beam, this slab's load on this beam, this slabs on this beam, this slabs on this beam, this on this on this, similarly this on this, and this on this. So this slab will be having dead load and live load from both. This this beam will be having dead load and live load from this slab and this
Both
slab.
sides.
Yeah, so similarly upper and lower will be contributing dead load and live load. Like I hope
Okay.
yeah, things are clear till live load. Okay, so live
Yes.
load is different, so I have directly calculated live loads here. So like I'll show you an example, like 1.5 into 6, like our library is on the upper grid, so 1.5 into 6 into lx, lx is
4.4.
4.076. Like I have calculated lx and ly in the previous slab video, so if you are not following what is lx and ly, you can just check that out. The first part of slab you will understand it. So 1.5 into 6 into by 3, like we like basically it is 3. The formula is this, but our aspect ratio is 1, so 3 minus 1 2, 2 gets 3, so
Okay.
we basically have this, so 12.228. See, we have written 12.228.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so you using that as using the similar fashion from upper slabs, we have to write live loads. This is from S1, like this is from library, these are from classrooms, and this is from toilet. and similarly all these are from corridors. So, and we have to add dead loads, this and this are dead loads which give this, and we have to
Okay.
add live loads, this and this, which give this. Similarly, we have to fill these columns, and note that unlike slab, we should not add these two. Okay, there is a reason, because there are different coefficients for dead loads and different coefficients for live load, so we have to write them separately, but we have to write the total dead load in one place and total live load here in one place. I hope. Okay, and I have skipped two loads, like self weight of the beam. Okay, I have explained till here, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so self weight of the beam is there. Self weight per unit distance, we do this. So 0.25 is the width, 0.42 is the overall depth, and 25 kilonewton per meter cubed is the that unit weight, and 1.5 is our factoring, is our factor, a factor of safety. So we get self weight of the beam as this. I've written down here. In this case, we are taking weight of the beam which is overlapping. So like few seniors have they ignored part of the slab. Okay, they have just taken this much weight of the beam. Okay, something like that.
Yes.
Yeah, but we are taking complete weight of the beam to be on safe side.
Okay.
Yeah, you like we should do this to be safe. Okay, and then weight of the walls are also there. We are assuming interior walls as 125 thick, and weight coming from them is 20 kilonewton per meter cubed. Here we have got 25 kilonewton per meter cubed. Now for walls we take 20 kilonewton per
Okay.
meter cubed, and height of the wall is calculated from this formula: floor to floor height minus overall depth of beam, which comes out to be 3.5 minus 0.42. 3.5 is my floor to floor height. For your respective roll number, you will have your own, and based on your overall depth, which you calculated in the very first step, you get the
Yes.
height of the wall, and from the height of the wall you calculate 1.5 into 1 meter into 0.125 meter into the height into 20 is the unit weight.
Okay.
So you
Yes.
basically get the weight of the wall. So from there you have self weight, weight of the wall, dead load. All these things are dead loads. You add them, you get this, and
Okay.
this, and this are dead loads, and this are live load. You add them, you get this. So similarly, all
Yes.
these, this column you fill it off. So from I guess load calculation is very much clear till here.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, and now we have got moment calculation of moment of resistance of the section. Okay, now the thing is, the limiting moment of resistance of the section can be obtained from the equation 0.138 FCK BD square. This is for Fe415 bars. Okay,
Okay.
yeah, for Fe415 we have got 0.138 FCK BD squared, and for Fe250 we have got 0.148 FCK, and Fe500 we got 0.133. So based on your grade of steel you have to use these formulas. Okay,
Yes.
so for me it is 415, so I have used this formula, and then we have got FCK, we have got FCK, we know B, we know D, we know d. So using all these things we calculate moment of resistance, which is limiting moment of resistance. Okay,
Okay, limiting
this is
resistance. Okay.
limiting moment of resistance for the section of the beam where bending moment is for the section of the beam where bending moment will be more than the above value, that section will be designed as doubly reinforced balanced section. When we are designing a doubly reinforced section, that will be designed as a balanced section. Okay, that we
Okay.
will study while designing a doubly reinforced. So unfortunately for the people who have got their beams have as doubly reinforced, like for me I have got all the beams as singly reinforced. So luckily I've got them as singly reinforced, so it was like everything is similar for me. So if you people have got doubly reinforced, then I'm not explaining that. So
Okay.
to avoid that, just try to, like, initially for me also, when I instead of like L effective by 10, I have taken L effective by 12. Okay, I have taken L effective by
Okay.
12, and then I have got something else here. Based on that, I've got something else, D. So based on all that, I've got my a few of my sections as doubly reinforced and a few
Okay.
as singly reinforced. So to avoid that, to avoid like to make things simpler, I just changed by 12 into by 10 here, and have got this, and luckily I've got all my sections as singly reinforced. So if you also want to design your beams as singly reinforced, you just have to increase the depth a bit, and your beams can be designed as singly reinforced. So that's no big deal.
Okay.
Yeah, so and based on your depth, I when I changed this to 12 to 10, this changed, and from this everything else changed. Like these this dead loads did not change, but dead loads, live loads did not change, but this changed.
Weight of walls have
Yeah,
changed.
yeah, this self weight of the wall, all these have changed. And yeah, I have made all those corrections, and this is my final. So I'm just telling you,
Okay.
I have just designed singly reinforced beam. So if you have got doubly reinforced, try to increase the depth and make it singly reinforced. Or if you want to
Okay.
do it as a doubly reinforced, then forgive me because I'm not explaining it. That's it.
Okay.
So uh, when
You called me.
yeah, I'm recording this.
Okay.
Yeah, like if you want to listen, you can listen, like if you understand, because you're not following it from the beginning. So where were we? MR limiting we calculated here, and then if our bending moment is more than this value, then we design it as a doubly reinforced. If our bending moment is less than this value, we design it as a singly reinforced. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. I have written down everything here. Singly reinforced, under reinforced section. So calculation of bending moments. Now at the we have got coefficients at mid spans and at supports. All right. The bending moment is calculated using M is equals to M from dead load and M from live load, and M from dead load has C1 into W dead load. This is factored, and L effective. Like this dead load is nothing but from here.
Okay.
Yeah, and this live load is nothing but from here.
Next to that. Yeah.
So basically we have got C1, and this formula. Based on these formula, we get moments at mid spans. We have got coefficients for moment at mid spans and moment at supports. So yeah, the thing is, we have got C1 and C2 can be obtained from table 12 of IS 456 2000. So I hope you can see all these coefficients.
Yes.
Yeah. So I just wrote the coefficients here. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, based on my for if you just observe these and observe what I have written, you will understand. Because yeah.
In the middle coefficients and at both ends you have written the support moments.
Tell me.
So in the middle, scroll it down a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the middle, you have written the coefficients from the central one.
No, here, see, at the middle of interior span, at the middle.
Yeah, that
This is my
middle of the
interior
interior.
span. For all these three are my interior spans. For these middle, I've used this one. Okay.
Okay.
Near the middle of end span, these are there. This is my end span. So middle of end span, have used this. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, and next support next to end support, this one. This is my end support.
Okay.
So support next to end support, this one and this one. And
Okay.
at other supports, this here. Okay.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah, and one more thing is not mentioned here, but it is mentioned in the code. At the simply supported edge, we give these coefficients, -1 by 24
Okay.
and -1 by 24. That's it. So
Okay.
yeah, this is given in the code. So you can look at my table. So using this formula and using this, I have calculated bending moments. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I if you want, I can just show you that.
Oh yes. So once.
So bending moment. Yeah, you can see the formula here.
B3 B1. Okay.
And 17.64 is nothing but 4.2 into 4.2 L effective ka whole squared.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, so using that formula, I have got my back to iPad. Yeah, so
Okay.
using that formula, I have got my bending moments. Bending moments. And then now we have got another row here, average bending moments. Average bending, there is a rule. Okay, if our bending moments at one support, at one side of the support we have got different, and another side of the support we have got different. Okay.
Yes.
So we have to take the average of those two, and we have to design our beam for that average.
Okay.
Yeah, so at the supports we take the average, and at the middle span we take as it is, and at the end support it is only one value is there, so we just take the same value. I hope you get it.
Okay.
Yeah, only at the supports we have taken the average. So, and one more thing, luckily here I have got my bending moment as 101, which is
so the average has come down.
more than 99. So my luck is so good that the average has brought it down to 95, and I have to give singly reinforced. So yeah, my luck is good.
Okay.
Yeah, so I just hope your luck also turns out to be good. Yeah, so the calculation of main reinforcement is there now. chalo, calculation of, I hope till here things are clear. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, like from here I've got my bending moments, and based on these bending moments I have written down here, if it is less than 99 point change something I have got here, right? What did I get? 99.11. Yeah.
0.11.
Yeah, so if I have got more than less than 99.11, I'll give it as singly reinforced. Like, don't get confused with this sign. This is negative tension. This is also tension only.
Okay.
Yeah, this is tension
Okay.
at the top, and this is tension at the bottom. So, like, this sign is just notating that this is negative tension reinforcement. This is positive tension. This is not compression. So
Okay.
have note of that. So this is negative tension, this is positive tension. Negative tension, we have got negative tension at the supports, that's why we give reinforcements at the supports on the top, and we have got positive tension at the mid span, so that is the reason why we give reinforcement in the bottom, in the mid span.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So
Okay.
the thing is like that. So at supports we give reinforcement at the top, and at mid span we give reinforcement at the bottom. So based on these values, if this, like, if the numerical value, forget the sign, if the numerical value is less than 99 point change, we give it as, like, for my case it is 99 point change. For your case you'll get a different MR limiting value, and you have to compare with that MR limiting value and just hope that this value is less than that value, so that you will give a singly reinforced. If unfortunately your value is more than that, like uh, more than
Limiting moment.
more than
Limiting
MR
moment.
limiting, then you have to give doubly reinforced. So that is the case. So, like, even for doubly reinforced it's no big deal actually. Like, we are just using SP16 here for calculating reinforcement. So when we are using SP16 for doubly reinforced, there's a different table. You have to go look at that table and get your compression steel and get your tension steel and do things accordingly. Okay, so just if you search up doubly reinforced table in from SP16 for your corresponding grade of concrete, for me it is M20, so you will get your doubly reinforced steel. So, like, it's no big deal actually. Then
Okay.
then the next thing that we have to do is we have to calculate mu by bd squared. Okay, keep a note of
Okay.
these keep a note of these things. Okay, like, and b is nothing but 250, d is nothing but
Okay.
379 ka whole squared, and mu is in like, here mu is in kilonewton meter, so we have to multiply it with 10 power 6 to bring it down to newton millimeter.
Okay.
Yeah, so we get this thing, these values. Okay, so keep a note of the units as well. So after that we have to calculate these values. Okay, and now I hope things are clear till here.
Yes.
Yeah, now we have got main reinforcement calculation. To calculate main reinforcement, I have followed table 2, page 48 of SP16 1980. Like, that thing has got M20 grade of see that page 48, page 48 I've got M20, like M20 grade of concrete, and for corresponding FE415 have taken down my values.
Okay.
Yeah, so like, the values depend on this. Okay, mu by bd squared, depending on this, and you do linear interpolation, you get your pt required values from the page, from your respective page. For me this is that. Okay, if you just scroll down up a bit and down a bit from page 48, you will find your page.
Okay.
Yeah, so we calculated pt from the table of this sp16, and then from pt is nothing but AST, area of steel or intention, divided by B into D into 100. We just reversed this formula and got AST required.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, we got AST required from PT. Okay, from AST required, and we have got this bar chart. Like for 6 dia bars, we'll have this much area, 10 dia bars, this much area. Like based on this, I have just calculated approximately. We have to give area of steel more than what is required. So based on this, I have decided my bars and have written down here. T means top bar, B means bottom bar. T is top bar, B is bottom bar. So based on that, we give our reinforcement, and based on the bars which we are providing, we have calculated our AST provided from these bars.
Okay.
Yeah, and after that, from I have told you the PT formula, so from there
Okay.
we get PT provided for all this. I hope things are very clear till here.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, and now we have got the other thing, AST minimum by BD. This is the minimum requirement of steel. Okay, minimum requirement of steel.
Okay. HT minimum should be greater than 0.85 upon FY into BD.
yeah. This is to maintain ductility. The ductility criteria, they have given this formula. So using this formula, my minimum area of steel should be, for me it should be 194. Thankfully everything is more than 194, so this thing is satisfied. And our
Okay.
area of steel should be less than AST limiting, or our PT of steel should be less than PT limiting. If our percentage of steel is more than PT limiting, then we are giving a over reinforced section. So that is
This PT is the provided one, right?
yeah, this PT is provided. Yeah, this PT, whatever we are providing, has to be
Okay.
more than what is required, for sure. Okay, like
Okay.
it can
Okay.
be more than or equal to what is required, but it has to be less than limiting value of PT. If it is because if it crosses limiting value of PT, then our section will become over reinforced. So it has to stay within limiting value of PT. So even that criteria is satisfied. And also one more criteria is there, like 0.4 percentage of 0.4 percent 4 percentage of some other criteria is there, like I don't quite remember, but 0.4 percentage of gross area, or 4 percentage of 0.4 percentage of gross area, I guess. Yeah, 0.4
Okay. 0.4 of BD.
of BD. So this, like, our area should be even less than that. So our area will of course be less than that, because that value will come out to be really huge. 0.4 by 100 into 250 into 379.
So capital
No.
right now you
No,
wrote
no,
capital A. You wrote there.
Sorry, 420, and I guess it is 4 percentage of gross area. Let me just see the wait design for Yeah, I have written, yeah, 4 percentage, sorry. Yeah, 4 percentage of gross area, not 0.4.
Okay, 4%.
Yeah, point 0.4 is really small. So 4 percentage of gross area. So you can have a note of even this. So based on all those criteria, we all everything after it is satisfied, we can proceed for next step. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I hope things are clear till here.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so now we have got shear check and calculation of shear reinforcement. I have written down everything here. So basically similar to moment, we have got coefficients for shear as well, C3 and C4, which we get from this table. And similarly for dead load we have got different coefficients, for live load we have got different coefficients, and this is factor dead load, which you have got from the table, first table, and this from the live load from the first table, and L effective, so
Yes.
basically things are very, and then after by doing this you get, by doing this VDL, VLL, and adding them you get V, and after you get V, by dividing it with BD, you will get tau V. Tau V is nothing but shear stress. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you calculate PT. Like already we did this, so we just bring this PT. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that is what I was writing here. So that PT only we use, and then corresponding to permissible, we have got table 19 of IS 456. Table 19, where is it? Yeah, table 19. Yeah, so from this table use your PT value and use your grade of
Okay.
concrete value, and get tau C value, design shear strength, design shear strength of concrete, tau C. Get tau C
Okay.
value from here, and you do linear interpolation, that is obvious.
Yes.
So we get tau C. Okay, I hope we get tau C based on PT, this PT.
Okay. Provided.
Yeah. Based on PT provided, we get tau C. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So the next thing, based on PT provided, we collect tau C value, and we do things accordingly. Like we get tau C value. Okay, based on PT. I hope till here it is clear.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, and then we have if our tau V is less than tau C, then only nominal shear reinforcement will be provided. If our tau C less than tau C, we give nominal shear reinforcement, and then we proceed with that. And if tau V is greater than tau C but less than tau C max, then we provide shear reinforcement, and that shear reinforcement will be provided for this much force, and this is called unsupported shear force. Unsupported shear force will be calculated by tau V minus tau C into BD. This unsupported shear force will be supported by shear reinforcement. So we get VUS using this formula. Again, make a note of the units. So kilonewtons, newtons, newton millimeter, kilonewton millimeter. Like, don't get confused with these formula like units. Like, always have a note of them and proceed carefully. So
Okay.
yeah, and our tau c max is nothing but it is given by this formula. For my fck 20, I've got this thing. So if our tau v is greater than tau c max, our section has to be redesigned.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So just hope that your tau v won't be more than this.
Okay.
And if it is more than tau c, you can design your shear reinforcement, and if you get it less than tau c, then you have to just give nominal shear reinforcement. So now calculating nominal shear reinforcement spacing. So based on this, like, this formula is given in the code. So using this formula, ASV is nothing but we are giving two-legged 8 dia stirrups. So our ASV will be 2 into pi into 8 square by 4. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, B is nothing but our 250,
250.
and SV is nothing but spacing, and
Okay.
Fy is nothing but grade of steel. So you just see this formula, you just see this calculation, and you get SV spacing from here. Okay.
Oh, so can you scroll a bit up?
Yeah.
More, little more.
Okay.
Okay, your tau c max is 2.82, and what was your okay, tau v you will calculate.
Yeah, I will calculate in the coming
Okay.
table.
Okay. Okay.
So, and for spacing of the main shear reinforcement, we have this formula: 0.87 Fy ASV D by VUS.
Okay.
Yeah. So all the terms are clear. Fy we know, ASV we know, I've just told you, and D is
Yes.
effective depth, and VUS we calculate.
Shear.
Yeah, unsupported.
Extra shear. Unsupported
Yeah,
shear.
unsupported shear. So and ASP have written down what it is again once more. So using this we have got this. So make a note of that. All these are like, this is in Newton per millimeter squared, this is in millimeter squared, this is in millimeter. So this has to be in newtons.
Okay.
Okay, not kilonewton. So based on, like, it's just unit ka khel, so you have to be careful.
Okay.
And one more thing, spacing is restricted to minimum of SV calculated from this formula.
Okay.
Nominal shear for nominal this much we give. So this thing, or 0.75 D or 300. So 0.75 D is coming out to be 284, which is approximately 280. We give lesser spacing than required for more shear reinforcement.
Be on the safer side.
Yeah, to be on the safe side. So 280. So I have written down here the places where nominal shear reinforcement is needed. Let us provide 300. Like, we calculated it as 360, but let us provide 300. And
Okay.
spacing of 2 mm dia bars, two-legged stirrups where shear reinforcement is required. We will provide spacing based on above restriction. Okay, like wherever shear reinforcement is required, we will be providing spacing on this restriction basis. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so I just for we have got shear coefficients only at the supports. Only
Okay.
at the supports. Okay, so basically we have got for the end support, for the next two end support in inner side inner side, and next to end support outer side, and at every other support, and
Okay.
next to end support inner side, next to next to end support outer side, and end support. Using we have got these coefficients from the table which I have mentioned here. Where is this table 13? Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so we can get our coefficients, and using the formula we calculate v. Okay.
Yes.
What formula? I have the formula, I will show you. So where is v? You're able to see my screen, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
PD provided. Okay. V. See the formula. Down.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
B3 into B1 plus B4 into B2.
Into L effective.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So
Yes. So C3 is for the dead load and C4 is for the live load.
yeah.
Okay.
So chalo. So I hope calculation of V is clear.
Yes.
Yeah, and tau V is nothing but V by BD,
Yes.
and we write PT provided. PT provided, note that you write only of supports. Okay. I have explained all this, right? You remember,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so PT provided this support, this, and this. These are of supports. Okay. So we lift these and put them here. PT provided.
Okay.
Okay. So we just lift those values, and we have to write 2 times because
Both side of the support.
yeah, both side of the support, same PT we are providing, so both side of the support. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So based on that, we have to write PT provided from the above table, and the tau C we get from these PT values. I have showed you table 19.
Yes.
Yeah, from these PT values, and M20 for me, M20 for you people, I don't know, whatever it is, you get your tau C values, and VUS is nothing but tau V minus tau C into BD. Yeah, like I'll just show you that formula also. Let's see. For tau V, this is the formula. I have simplified divided by
Okay, BD.
yeah, divided by BD. I have simplified that, like, and for tau VUS we have this formula, tau V minus tau C into BD. I have divided it by 1000 because these are in Newton, the value we are which is coming is in Newton, so to convert it into kilonewtons I divided it by 1000. So
Okay.
yeah, so that's it. So and then coming back here, so we get VUS, and based on VUS, and we have this formula, we have to give VUS in newtons, see, not kilonewtons. So this in 2000 you have to do, like, I hope you are understanding.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So like this number divided by 1000
1000.
should divide this number, so you get spacing required from here. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, you get spacing required, and from this spacing required if it is 237, I give 230. If it is 168, I give 160. Here here no spacing is needed. Hello.
Yeah.
Here in the middle there is no shear force, so I'm giving 300 as
Okay.
I've written down here. Like where nominal is needed, I'm giving 300. Wherever it is needed, I'm giving according to restriction. So
Okay.
at this point shear force is needed, but our restriction is 280 from here. See,
Okay, 280. Yeah,
minimum of all this will be 280, so I'm giving 280 here. So like based on that, it is very much easy to calculate spacing provided. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now we do deflection check. Okay,
Yeah.
deflection check is done like based on like b1 b2 has got maximum moment in the middle, so we b1 b2 will become a critical beam, so we do deflection check for that beam in the middle span.
Okay.
Because we check deflection will happen only at the middle span. At supports, the things are supported, so they won't deflect, so
Yes.
we check at middle span only. And deflection check is done by this thing, which is same for slabs. Have told you in the slab video, L effective by D should be less than K1, K2, K3, K4 and value. This value depends on like, let me just show you that. Deflection check. Yeah, see, for cantilever beams it is 7, for simply supported it is 20, for continuous it is 26. This is from code. Okay. Yeah, so for us it is continuous beam, so we take value as 26. And K1 depends on span length. K1 is 1. K2
Okay.
it depends on percentage of tension reinforcement, so that we have to calculate. K3 depends on compression reinforcement. Our compression reinforcement is 0, so we give K3 as 1.
1.
And K4 it depends on width, web width to flange width, which is 1 because our section is rectangular, not flanged. So
Okay.
K4 is 1. So basically we have K1, K3, K4 as 1. Value is 26. And for calculating K2, we take PT provided at the middle span. This is at the middle
Okay.
span. If you go back to this table, yeah, PT provided at the middle of the critical.
Okay.
Yeah, so you get PT from there, and you have this FS formula. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, using this FS formula, you have your AST required, you have your AST provided, you get FS. Okay, so and go to figure 4 of IS 456. There you have to draw your FS wala curve based on these curves,
Okay.
and based on percentage of tension reinforcement you have to mark your whatever modification factor.
Y-axis.
Yeah, that will be K2. So based on my 0.8753 and 221, so 8753 it will be somewhere like here, and 221 like somewhere here. Like I have taken approximately this as 1.1. Okay, I have taken less
Okay.
than what it is coming to be. Like I don't know, I have taken exactly what it is coming, I guess. So approximately mine will be 1.1. my L effective by D, you know L effective, you know D. L
Yes.
effective by D is this much, and K1, K2, K3, K4 into value is this much. So this criteria is satisfying, so it is okay under deflection.
Okay.
So when critical beam is okay under deflection, all the other beams will be okay under deflection. So we need not check for every other beam.
Okay.
Yeah. So that completes our deflection check, and now the last two things are remaining. Development length. This is the development length. Like development length criteria is there. Development length. Where did I write it? Yeah, here. So to develop the bond stresses, like to develop the required stress in the beam, like to develop the design stress in the beam, in the beam reinforcements, to develop the required stress, we have to give those reinforcements a certain development length so that they will attain their design stresses. So like 0.87 fy. So for that we give a development length, and it has got a big story, and moral of the story is this.
Okay.
So LD is calculated from this thing. So I have written down the same thing here. Our LD is calculated from here, and and also one more thing is that tau BD is obtained from this table. Okay.
Okay.
IS 456, and for HYSD bars, tau BD is increased by 60%.
Okay.
So my tau BD from the table for M20 grade of concrete is 1.2, and my tau BD new, as it is a HYSD bars I'm using, so 1.2 into 1.6, I get it as 1.92.
Okay.
So based on this we have got LD, okay.
Yeah.
So for different values of bars, like for 12 mm bars, this is my development length. For 16 mm bars, this is my development length. For this. So it's as simple as that.
Okay.
Yeah, and for your grade of concrete, you'll have a
This I is for main reinforcement.
main reinforcement,
Okay.
or like it is for main reinforcement.
Okay.
Yeah, and there is one thing for LD. Oh shit. Yeah, there is one thing for development length. It is here, this thing. In no case distance between the sections of permissible stress. For example, this bar is in tension, so this section has maximum tension. So from this section till the end of the bar on either side should be not less than LD. That is the main story. Okay.
Okay.
Of LD.
So if it is, Sissy, can you show that picture again? Okay, so they have folded it back, right?
What?
In the second
Okay.
picture,
Yeah, they have
if LD is
folded
like
because,
if we extend it directly, then it is increasing. So they fold it back.
Like if space is not sufficient, we need to fold it to make it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's something like that. But from this point onwards till the end of the bar, the length inside the concrete should be more than LD, not less than LD.
Okay.
That is the story. So till here, like these LD values will be useful for detailing. I don't want to go into detailing now. Like detailing also, like basically LD by 3 we have to send inside LD by 3 inside the support from the face of the support, those tension reinforcements. So all those small rules are there which you get from SP34. Okay. So SP34 is for detailing. So from there you can get it. And end anchorage, the last thing for beam. End anchorage is like this thing is there. LD should be less than or equal to 1.3 M1 by V plus L naught. Okay. Like for this, another set of derivation is there. I don't want to go into that, but you just go with this formula. Okay. So M1 is moment of resistance at support, and V is shear force at support, and L0 is anchorage distance beyond center of support. I hope my like whatever I have written is clear.
This L0, the anchorage distance beyond the center of support.
Yeah, like this is the support, like this is the beam. So beyond center of the support, how much our bar should be extended? That is nothing but L0.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is the thing. So now for support B1. For support B1, like we just do it for two supports. Okay, what are those two
Which
supports? Wait a second, it's loading. Yeah, we support B1 and B2 because these are the ends of the beam. So
okay, there we will provide anchorage.
Yeah, there we provide anchorage. So we just check for here, check here and here. Okay. So coming back to yeah. So at support B1 we have got point. So like this formula we just do C is equals to T, compression is tension. So we just use that formula. We know area of steel whatever we are providing. Like for me at this support, like I'm not talking about this. Okay, this is negative tension. I'm not talking about this. Okay, this is negative tension. This negative tension is on the top. So inside the support we need to give LD, and outside the support we need to give LD from the face of the support. This rule applies for negative tension. I'm not talking about this. I'm talking about this thing. All right. For end anchorage we are talking about this middle thing, like because middle thing is going inside. All right.
Okay.
I hope I'm making myself clear.
Yes.
Yeah. So it is as simple as that. So like I'm curtailing 16 bar, I'm just sending 220 bars inside support. Similarly at B6 also I'm sending, like 2 are only there, I cannot, symmetry should be maintained, so I'm directly sending those 2 into the support.
Okay.
Yeah. So now comes this end anchorage thing. So end anchorage thing. Yeah. So end anchorage thing. So based on I'm sending 220 dia bars inside into the support. So based on that I have my AST. Based on AST I calculated my XU.
Okay.
Yeah, and based on XU have my M1.
Okay.
This formula I guess you know.
0.87 FIST. Okay, I will say that.
Yeah, this is lever arm. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so using this formula I've got my M1 at support.
At support. Okay.
Yeah, and at support my V I have got this from my coefficients from the table above.
Mhm. Okay.
Yeah, you remember, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, for shear
It was
reinforcement we
V.
have a table. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
96.9.
yeah, so and then we have got 1.3 m1 by V in meters, converting it to millimeters,
Okay.
and then assuming two number of 20 bars like going into the support. 20 bars have got 940 as their LD.
So we are not assuming this one. Actually, we are sending natural, right?
No, like this formula, like actually this is there na, this formula whatever this is there, this is
Yes.
made to restrict our phi. Okay, so
Okay.
our
Okay.
like
Got it.
our LD depends on phi, so we have to restrict our phi such that this formula is satisfied.
Okay.
Okay, but at support we know our LD, we know our this, and based on these two we calculate L0.
Okay.
Okay, so 1.3 m1 by V, we know this, we know LD. Okay, so L0 should be greater than this, and we got L0 as negative 52.37. So as L0 is negative, no additional anchorage is needed beyond center of support.
Okay.
If we are sending 220 bars inside, that is more than enough. Okay,
Means no need to anchor it.
no, like no need to anchor it in the sense like beyond center of support, no additional, like based on this formula no additional L0 is needed, but
Okay.
we have to send into the support by a distance of LD by 3 from the face of the support. Okay,
Okay.
yeah, from the face of the support the bar should be sent at least LD by 3 distance.
Okay.
That is given in the code. So our LD is 940 by 3 is this, so at least this much if we send into the support it is enough.
Okay.
I hope things are
So
clear.
if we are getting negative here, this L0 is greater than or equal to minus of
Yeah,
52.37.
that is
Then
the-
at least we have to send 3D.
Yeah, at least LD by 3. LD by 3.
LD by 3.
Yeah, LD by 3 we
Okay,
send
okay.
inside. So if we get something here as positive,
Okay, then we will
Then-
add that much extra.
no, we don't add. We
Then-
have to see like till the center we provide. Till the
Okay.
center we provide, and beyond center we have to add this value.
That's
Okay.
what I was
And
saying.
we have to see that this total is at least LD by 3 or more, not less than LD by 3. If the total
Okay.
is less than LD by 3, we have to give some more
Okay,
and make
okay.
it LD by 3. So
Okay.
two categories are there. L0 is there, LD by 3 is there. Nothing has to be compromised. Both we have
Okay.
to see.
Okay.
So similarly at support B6 I did the same story, but my support like this thing only changed V, and based on that I've got different 1.3 m1 by V, which is this, and have got again my L0 as negative, so similarly I'm sending just LD by 3 inside.
Okay.
All right, so and hanger bars I'm providing two 10 mm dia bars as hanger bars wherever the top reinforcement is not needed. Now I'm providing two 10 mm bars as my hanger bars, so that they are used to hold the shear stirrups in place.
Okay.
Yeah, and this is the restriction given on hanger bars.
Okay.
Yeah, this finishes our
What is that WED?
web. Sorry, I by
Okay.
mistake wrote.
Okay, maybe I wanted to write.
Why did I write wed?
Okay.
I don't know where all I wrote wed instead of web. So
No. On here.
yeah, so I guess till here this finishes our beam. Now our second beam, the only difference we have here is the loading. The loading here is triangular.
Yes.
For initially our loading was trapezoidal for these
Trapezoidal.
beams. So our formula for load will change here. Our formula for load will change to this thing for dead load as well as live load. This is one change, okay? And
Okay.
another change is for these set of beams, all our L effective was same. All our center to center
Okay,
distance
okay.
was same. For this, my center to center distance is changing. So I have
Okay.
got two L effectives.
Two different sets.
Yeah,
Okay.
for calculating moments and shear, I use for this beam I use this L effective. For these beams, I use the different L effective, and
Okay.
that is the difference. And overall depth, I calculate based on maximum L effective to be on safe side, and I give
Oh, okay.
and I give the same overall depth to maintain uniformity everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah, that is the thing which we are doing for the other beams, and instead of upper grade and lower grade, now we have got left and right grade.
Yes.
Yeah, so this grade triangle will give here, this grade triangle will give here. Similarly, I hope it is clear.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one more thing, one more change I have done is instead of using SP16 to calculate my main rebars,
Okay.
have used this formula. This formula I have discussed it in the slab AST 0.5. Like this formula is nothing but I just did C into T and got XU and substituted that
Okay.
XU value in moment of resistance formula, and
Okay.
after solving that quadratic, I've got AST as this. So, and in Devdas Menon book, similar formula is there, but for PT, not for AST, but for PT. If we convert that
Okay.
PT formula into AST, we are going to get this formula only. So, using this formula for AST, I have calculated my direct AST required. So I did not refer that SP16. You can
Okay.
do using this formula, or you can refer SP16, that is up to you. Like the difference will be minimal. So
Okay.
as we are doing it in Excel, or if you are using a Mac, then numbers, then so using formula is much easier than referring table, I can say, because we just need to enter formula once and drag.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
so,
I know.
yeah, chalo, I guess, and everything else is similar. Deflection check, development length, and anchorage, everything is similar.
Okay.
Here have written web instead of wed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chalo, I guess let us end the class here.
Okay.
I think Let me stop the recording.